two boxers are fighting in the ring. One is Gunwoo and the other is Woo Jin. Though Woo Jin is a more experienced and senior boxer, Gunwoo's left hook proves fatal for Woo Jin. Gunwoo defeats his opponent without any difficulty. Actually, Gunwoo is a more hard-working and diligent boxer, which makes him win in every battle he fights. After the match, when Gunwoo is going back home and waiting for the bus at the bus stop, he sees a drunk man present there. When the bus arrives, the drunk man tries to board the bus, but the driver demands him to wear the mask first as the COVID pandemic has hit the nation all over. But the drunk doesn't follow the instructions of the driver and starts arguing with him. Gunwoo is standing nearby, so he makes the drunk man come out of the bus and then sends him home on foot respectfully. The drunk man even tries to hit Gunwoo multiple times, but Gunwoo doesn't respond to him harshly. He just dodges the attack on himself and asks him to go home by the foot respectfully. All the passengers like this act of Gunwoo and applaud him. This proves that Gunwoo is a nice man who knows how to respect others. When Gunwoo reaches his home, he hears his mom talking to someone on the phone. She is demanding some more time to pay the rent for her store. This shows that Gunwoo and his family are poor, and Gunwoo has to do something to support his mother. So Gunwoo again takes part in the boxing competition and reaches the finals of the competition with ease. As of COVID, his mother is watching his match on her mobile phone. Gunwoo's opponent is Woo Jin again, who is proud of his previous experience in boxing. He thinks that he can easily defeat Gunwoo, but his coach also cautions him about the left hook of Gunwoo. Still, Woo Jin doesn't care about the advice of his coach and says that he is the Marine champion of boxing competitions and no one can defeat him. He comes into the ring with his pride and imagines that when Gunwoo hits him with his left, he will defend it with his arm and will take that opportunity to hit him on the head with his own left hand. But in reality, when he removes his guard and offers Gunwoo to attack him with his left hook, Gunwoo takes the opportunity and makes him fall with just one hit. In this way, Gunwoo becomes the champion of this competition. Later, Woo Jin is sitting with his coach, who is also his father. Woo Jin asks him to go to eat a meal with him, but the father refuses because the dining rooms of most of the restaurants are closed due to COVID-19. Father gives him some money to order food and eat it in his room. When he comes out of the boxing room, he sees that Gunwoo is waiting for him. Gunwoo stands up after seeing him and asks him out for a meal. At first, Woo Jin refuses his offer, thinking that Gunwoo is mocking him, but then accepts it when he sees that Gunwoo's intentions are pure. Woo Jin is surprised that the left hook of Gunwoo can be so strong, whether he is a lefty or not, but Gunwoo replies that he is actually a righty, and he just gets the opportunity to be hit by his left hand, so he takes the opportunity. Woo Jin is more impressed that he was taken down by just one hit of Gunwoo's left hand. That is why he offers the treat to himself. At the restaurant, Gunwoo reveals that he does boxing as a part-time hobby because he needs money to support his mother. His age is even less than Woo Jin's age by 2 years, and he also does other part-time gigs like working at a barbecue restaurant. That's the reason Gunwoo was good at making the barbecue steaks that they are eating at that time. When Woo Jin sees that Gunwoo is better than him in all things, he flexes by mentioning his Marine experience. But Gunwoo is also a Marine and even has a higher rank than Woo Jin's. Hearing this, Woo Jin stands up by the spirit of the Marine and salutes to his senior. Now, he is completely impressed by Gunwoo, and there seems to be a strong friendship bond between them. Back at the cafe, Gunwoo's mother is now requesting the moneylender to give her some more time to pay back the loan. Right then, Gunwoo comes there and greets his mom. The mother is proud of her son, as she has seen the whole match on her phone earlier. Gunwoo hands over the prize money from that match to his mother and asks her to pay back the loans. The mother at first refuses to take that money, but when Gunwoo insists on it, she takes the money and promises that she will return it to him. After that, they both close the cafe and walk towards their home. Gunwoo sees a suspicious car there but ignores it for the time being. It's Mr. Kim Myung-gil who is planning to build a casino and a club near the location of the cafe of Gunwoo's mother. He is also a loan shark who gives loans to people and then increases the markup so much that poor people have to give the collateral to him. Now, he appoints one of his men to con the people of that area by the same method so that he can get a location for his casino and club. The following day, we see Myung-gil start an initiative that supposedly pays off people's debts for less interest than the bank. However, there is fine print that states the people they are paying money need to pay an extension fee in exchange for lowered interest within 24 hours. They are setting up a scheme that sets desperate people up for failure. The agents of Kim Myung-gil approach the different landowners of that area and propose a loan plan with just a 5% interest rate. Meanwhile, the banks are giving loans at a 7% interest rate, so the residents find this deal very attractive, and many of them sign the contract by keeping their lands as collateral. One of the agents also approaches Gun-woo's mother and cons her by giving the greed of a low interest rate. So, she also gets into the trap and signs the contract. Meanwhile, COVID is still expanding throughout the whole nation, and the businesses of the people are being destroyed everywhere. People are forced to take out loans to make ends meet. To make money from the COVID era, Mr. Kim Myung-gil's man is in a meeting with Chairman Hong of Lil Group to convince him to invest money in Myung-gil's plan. Also, the mayor of the city is involved in the business plan of Mr. Kim Myung-gil. Chairman Hong is hesitant to give his money as he has already given them money, which is still not recovered. Meanwhile, Mr. Kim Myung-gil enters the room and apologizes for the late coming. He pressures Chairman Hong to sign the contract by threatening him with the mayor's power in his hand. Later, Mr. Kim Myung-gil is seen partying with his partners. They are confident that they will get the money they required from the Lil Group to invest in their business. To make their bond even stronger, the mayor gives a very expensive gift to Kim Myung-gil, hoping that he will be benefited a lot in the future. But the whole thing is being recorded into the hidden camera unknown to the mayor. The next day, Gun-woo goes to his gym to practice boxing, but the gym is closed because there were some positive COVID cases in the previous match. Now he is free for the day, so he calls Woo-jin to meet. Woo-jin is sleeping in his apartment, so he texts his location to Gun-woo and asks him to come over there. When Gun-woo goes to the location, he sees a masked person chasing a homeless man, so he also runs after them to help the man. But after some distance, he sees the homeless man on the ground with his nose bleeding, and the masked person is running by, taking something from the man. So Gun-woo runs after the masked person, who is now hiding behind a wall, and gives a taser to Gun-woo when he reaches near to the wall. The masked person is actually a girl named Hyun-ju. She asks Gun-woo why he is chasing her and what his relation to the homeless man is. Gun-woo replies that he wants to just help that man and has no relation with him. At this, Hyun-ju reveals that the homeless man is not actually homeless, and he is just faking it to not repay the loan he took. Saying this, she leaves from that place. She comes back to a bookshop where his grandpa, Mr. Choi Tae-hyun, is talking with a woman. The woman is there to pay back the loan that she took from Mr. Choi, but he wants her to pay the other loans first and then pay him. Mr. Choi is a nice person who gives loans to people who are having medical emergencies without interest. But Hyun-ju doesn't like this. She wants him to take the appropriate interest from the people in return for helping them. Mr. Choi says that he helped a girl who would have died due to cancer if he had not provided money to her. So his money is being spent on good things, and he is satisfied with it. Also, he asks Hyun-ju not to involve the people in the fight to take the loan money back, just as she did in the case of that homeless man earlier. Mr. Choi is worried about the safety of Hyun-ju. That's why he calls his old subordinate, Mr. Moon, to send someone as the bodyguard for his granddaughter. Meanwhile, at Gun-woo's mother's cafe, a man from Kim Myung-gil comes. His name is Jun Min, and he wants the old lady to pay the interest for not paying the extension fee within the due time. Gun-woo's mother is confused about what he is talking about because she was not asked to pay any extension fee while signing the contract. She threatens Jun Min to call the police if he doesn't leave her cafe. Jun Min comes out of the cafe and orders to break the place into pieces. Right then, the mother calls Gun-woo and asks him to come to the cafe soon, as some people are destroying their property. Gun-woo runs towards the cafe after hearing the distressed voice of his mother. When he reaches the location, he sees that the whole cafe is broken down, and Jun Min is teasing his mother. There are a lot of goons in the suit with Jun Min, so Gun-woo has to fight with all of them to reach Jun Min. He uses his boxing skills to knock down everyone there. He is alone against tens of people, but eventually, he succeeds. Jun Min is scared by seeing the scene, so he backs off, and Gun-woo calms his mother. When Gun-woo catches Jun Min with the collar and asks him why he is there, Mr. Kim Myung-gil comes from behind and says that his mother took a loan from him, and now she is not paying it back. Gun-woo demands that to pay for the damage first, and then they will pay back the loan. Mr. Kim Myung-gil passes a smile and makes his man in Beam come ahead. He is a very strong, sturdy man with an evil eye. Gunwoo's boxing skills are not useful against him. His punches don't hurt in Beam enough, and in Beam's one hit is enough to knock down Gunwoo. Though Gunwoo fights with all his might, he is just able to make in Beam bleed a little with all his force. Mr. Kim Myung-gil is impressed by the spirit of Gunwoo and offers him to work for Kim Myung-gil, but Gunwoo spits on the face of Kim Myung-gil in the response. This makes Kim Myung-gil angry, so he gives a large cut on the face of Gunwoo with his knife and threatens him to kill his mother if Gunwoo tries to call the police. After some time, we see Gunwoo's mother in the hospital, worried about her son, and Gunwoo is getting stitches on his face. The doctor asks him to get further treatment so that the wound does not leave a scar on his face, but the treatment is costly, so Gunwoo denies it. He shows the wound to his friend Woo Jin, who asks him to go to the police, but Gunwoo remembers the threat of Kim Myung-gil, so he can't go to the police too. Woo Jin shows him the contract that his mother signed with the agent of Kim Myung-gil. It is written in fine print that if the loan receiver would not pay the extension fees within 24 hours, then the interest rate would increase consistently. Now they are in big trouble, and there is no one who can pay them 100,000 won to pay back as the loan repayment. To make the mood of his friend, Woo Jin takes him to feed him a good meal. There, Gunwoo calls his mother and asks her not to be worried about the cafe. He says that he will go and clean the area of the cafe and also will manage the money to pay the loan repayment soon. After the call, when he sees Woo Jin, he is also on the call with someone requesting him to lend him some money because he is in dire need of it. Gunwoo gets emotional by seeing that his friend cares for him so much. Later, they both go to meet a moneylender whom Woo Jin was talking on the phone. The moneylender is ready to give them the money, but in return, he wants them to work for him as a bloodhound for 2 years. Both Woo Jin and Gunwoo are not ready to accept this offer of the moneylender because the work of bloodhound is something which they both dislike. Bloodhounds have to torture people again and again to force them to pay back the loan, but still, they are themselves the victims of this scenario. Gunwoo stands up and asks Woo Jin to leave. Woo Jin gives back the money and accompanies Gunwoo outside. Later, Woo Jin calls another of his contacts and explains his situation. That man agrees to give them money, so they rush towards him. It's actually Mr. Moon, who is also a senior Marine, and he tells them that he is helping the boys because they are Marines. He mentions the name of Mr. Choi Tae-hyun to them and asks them to meet him. He is a kind person who could lend them money, and in return, they would have to work for his granddaughter's bodyguard. Mr. Moon has already talked about the boys to Mr. Choi through Mr. Oh, who is also an accomplice of Mr. Choi. When Mr. Choi is going somewhere in his car, Mr. Oh shows him the profiles of Gunwoo and Woo Jin. Mr. Choi likes Gunwoo because his body speaks about his diligence in his work. But Gunwoo has no experience of the work before, but Woo Jin has been working with the loan sharks earlier. That's why Mr. Oh suggests that they should hire both of them. But Mr. Choi asks Mr. Oh to set a meeting with Gunwoo alone and then they will look into Woo Jin later. The following day both friends come to meet Mr. Choi at a butcher shop. There is a person in a white martial arts dress who lets only Gunwoo come inside and stop Woo Jin there. Once inside, Gunwoo greets Mr. Choi and sits with him. On the question of Mr. Choi about the wound on the face, Gunwoo narrates the story of the cafe of his mother. Mr. Choi says that he was also in that type of the business in his past, but he is not in that anymore. He offers Gunwoo 100,000 won as an advance fee for his work as a bodyguard for next 2 years. Gunwoo can use that money to pay his mother's debt. Listening this, Gunwoo's face brightens and he quickly takes the offer. Outside, Gunwoo talks about the whole conversation to Woo Jin and they both start jumping with the excitement. Back at home, they inform about the job to Gunwoo's mother who makes delicious food for them. After some time, they hear a knock at the door, and when Gunwoo goes to check, he sees Mr. Oh there. He has come up there with the money on behalf of Mr. Choi. Gunwoo becomes emotional after seeing this and thanks him much. Then he brings the money inside and shows it to his mother and friend. He thanks Woo Jin for helping him in this hard time. The following day, they both go to their job at 10 a.m. But there is a problem. Woo Jin is not selected for the job, still he has come there. He wants to talk to Mr. Choi and convince him to give the job to Woo Jin too. Luckily, Mr. Choi is convinced within no time and hires both of them. However, he reveals that they still have to pass an interview with his granddaughter. In that interview, they will have to convince her to keep the boys as her bodyguards. Gunwoo is worried because he has already paid the money of Mr. Choi to the moneylenders and still his job is not confirmed yet. But Mr. Choi assures him that they will succeed in the interview. He gives them some money to eat food and then waits for his granddaughter. When they are waiting in the bookstore, They take out a box from a shelf and are surprised to see that the box is full of cash. Also, there are money shelves with such boxes in them. They do their math and speculate that there are billions of won present in that bookstore hidden in book covers. Meanwhile, Hyun-ju comes there to meet the boys. At first, Woo-jin tries to convince her, but fails, because Hyun-ju doesn't want any bodyguard for herself. She claims that she can take care of herself and there is no need for the bodyguards. Woo-jin fails and leaves the room. Seeing this, Gun-woo kneels down and pleads that he has taken money from Mr. Choi as a repayment for the previous ones. That's why he needs this money badly. He suggested that she let them work as bodyguards for a month, and if she didn't like their work, then they would leave the job themselves. Seeing the diligence of Gun-woo, the anger of Hyun-ju melts down and she takes them to a cafe to eat something. There she speculates that the wound on the face of Gun-woo was also given by the moneylenders. She is also investigating the loan shark's evil businesses in her free time. She says that a gang of people steal the IDs of homeless people and then apply for loans on those IDs. Then they take the money, and the poor homeless people become trapped in the debt cycle. She also shows them the picture of Jun-min, whom she thinks is the boss of that gang. Gun-woo knows him because he was there with Mr. Choi while destroying the cafe of his mother. This makes Hyun-ju interested in those boys. She takes them in her car to investigate more into the matter. She asks them just to follow these gang members and let her know how many homeless people they target in a night. We see 3 people in a salon putting some fake hair on the bare and black makeup on their faces to look poor and needy. Then they enter a van and start driving towards a railway station. Hyun-ju and the boys are also following them behind. When the gang members enter the railway station, Gun-woo and Woo-jin follow them. They see that the gang members go to a homeless man and pretend that they are some officials of the government and they have to get the needy people registered in a new government scheme. In the scheme, the homeless people will get some food and a monthly stipend. The poor person gets trapped in their plan and gives them his ID. Gun-woo and Woo-jin are watching the whole scene from behind a wall and informing all about Hyun-ju. After that, the gang members go to the next target, but that man recognizes the gang members and starts yelling to return his ID. They had already tricked him and gotten his ID earlier, so the gang members start beating the poor man there. Gun-woo wants to help, but Woo-jin stops him because Hyun-ju asked them not to engage. When Gun-woo sees that the old man is bleeding heavily and his life is at stake, he cannot control himself and engage with the gang members. One of the gangsters, Yang Jae-myung, is the same fake man whom Hyun-ju was chasing earlier, and Gun-woo interrupted them. The cap that Hyun-ju was wearing earlier is now on the head of Gun-woo, and Yang Jae-myung recognizes it from his memory. For the time being, Gun-woo and Woo-jin are able to fight with the gang members and make them run from the scene. Then they call the ambulance and shift that poor man to the hospital, saving his life. When they inform about the incident to Hyun-ju, she gets angry and asks them to come to work now. She didn't want to engage them because from now on, the gang members will become more conscious of their work. Woo-jin again calls her and asks her to meet them for once only. She agrees and asks them to come to the bookstore. There, she again starts showing her anger at both of them for ruining her plan. Woo-jin also gets short-tempered and starts arguing with Hyun-ju, but Gun-woo comes in between and politely presents his point. He shows his scar mark on the face given by the loan shark and says that this scar always reminds him that he should be working for those who are getting hurt by these loan sharks. When he saw a poor man getting beaten up by the gangster, he could not stop himself from helping because it was the right thing to do at that time. Saying this, he gives the cap back to Hyun-ju and leaves the job with Woo-jin. He is sure that he will return Mr. Choi's money somehow or other. Then, they both come out of the bookstore. The scene makes Hyun-ju get emotional, so she texts them both to come back to work tomorrow morning. Seeing the text, they both become and start jumping with excitement. On the other hand, Yang Jae-myung informs Jun-min about the attack on them. He also tells that he remembers the cap which the attacker was wearing. It's from the old moneylender from whom he took loan in the past. The following day, Hyun-ju and the boys sit together to discuss what they should do now. Meanwhile, they see some people coming towards their bookstore. These are the same men whom they attacked the previous night. Hyun-ju quickly shuts down the shop and turns the light off so that the gangsters can't find them. Yang Jae-myung is with Jun-min to see the person from whom Yang Jae-myung took the loan earlier. They kick the shutters of the shops and find out that the bookstore shutter is made of a different material than the other shops. Later, when Hyun-ju and the boys sit to find out how the enemies located their bookstore, Gun-woo remembers the wearing of Hyun-ju's cap. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi is back at the bookstore. He puts the code to open the shutters and asks the kids what happened there. On knowing about Jun Min and his gangsters' involvement with the kids, Mr. Choi reprimands Hyun-ju for indulging in this dirty business. Hyun-ju also opens up and says that she had no other choice but to investigate the matter because this is what Mr. Choi has taught her in her life. She wants to help people, and now she is no more a kid. Gun-woo also shows the scar mark on his face and justifies that what they are doing is not wrong, but it's a fight for their own rights. Saying this, they all leave the bookstore, and Mr. Choi is still worried about the kids because the people they are going to indulge with will not leave them alone. He asks Mr. Oh to investigate more into the matter. Outside the bookstore, Hyun-ju and the boys decide to go for a meal, and the treat is on Woo Jin this time. Their friendship is getting stronger by the time, and now Hyun-ju is also a part of their group. She also makes jokes with them and behaves like a friend instead of a boss. At the restaurant, Hyun-ju reveals that Mr. Choi is not her real grandfather. She was adopted by Mr. Choi from an orphanage house because her real father committed the unthinkable. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi receives a call from Mr. Oh, who is telling that Jun Min is actually working for Kim Myung-gil under his loan company named Smile Capital. After that, in a flashback, we see the young days of Mr. Choi when he was running a loan company with his employees, including Kim Myung-gil and Mr. Moon. One night, when Mr. Choi was at home, he received a call from the security guard that two thieves had broken into Mr. Choi's office. Mr. Choi quickly gets ready to go towards his office. In the meantime, we see Young and BM ordering an expert to open the safe of Mr. Choi quickly. Once the safe is open, they both become happy by seeing so much money inside. Right then, Mr. Choi reaches there and starts the fight with them. He beats both in BM and his accomplice, but unfortunately, there is a third person in the room. He is Kim Myung-gil, who comes from behind and stabs Mr. Choi in the back. Mr. Choi turns out and now starts fighting with Kim Myung-gil. He is not able to kill him because of the injuries, but Mr. Choi gives a big cut on the face of Kim Myung-gil with the knife. Right then, In Beam comes from behind and carries Mr. Choi. He then throws him out of the building through the window. After that, In Beam takes out all the money and Kim Myung-gil sets the office on fire. When In Beam looks down the window, Mr. Choi is not present there. Back into the present, Mr. Choi meets Hyun-ju and tells him that he will take care of these scammers from now on, and Hyun-ju doesn't have to care about them. On the other hand, Kim Myung-gil is going to meet Chairman Hong again. This time, Chairman Hong has come with his cousin, who is a police officer. Kim Myung-gil is sacred a bit and asks his accomplice, Jang Do, to remain cool in the room ahead. Chairman Hong and his cousin Gwang Yong ask Kim Myung-gil to drink with them first before any conversation. They drink a lot together, peg after peg, and then Gwang Yong takes out the handcuffs and puts them on the table. He threatens Kim Myung-gil to arrest him for his illegal business if he ever teases his cousin again. Both the cousins start mocking Kim Myung-gil, but the latter is sitting silent with no emotions on his face. Chairman Hong comes near Kim Myung-gil and asks him never to get involved with any of the Lil Group family members again. When they have gone, Kim Myung-gil vomits out all the alcohol in the flush and asks Jang Do to capture Chairman Hong. The following day, when Chairman Hong is going somewhere in his car, he stops at a car wash as usual. But suddenly, the shutters of the shop come down, and he is fetched out of the car by the men of Kim Myung-gil. Jang Do also comes there and slaps him. He tells him that Hong will have to pay back for his misbehave to Kim Myung-gil. First, they beat Chairman Hong and make him drink the gasoline. Then, they force him to remove his clothes. Also, they made a video of the naked Chairman Hong and sent it to Kim Myung-gil, who laughed while seeing the video. The other day, Kim Myung-gil takes In Beam with him and goes to a shipment port. They're in a container. Kim Myung-gil has kept his all the gold. He tells In Beam that he learned from Mr. Choi that we should keep our money in the gold, because the currency notes keep on devaluating. He also mentions that In Beam is like a brother to him and he will also move with him overseas after accumulating some more wealth. The following day, Hyun-ju and the boys make another plan to capture the scammers red-handed. They are going to again follow the van that takes some people from the salon after becoming needy of makeup and leaves them at the railway station. But this time, the enemies are more conscious. They know that someone is following them, and that's why they make a plan to frame them. Yang Jangmyeon takes Gun-woo and Woo Jin into a closed underground alley and then blocks their way from all sides by employing his men. Hyun-ju, sitting in her car outside, is watching the whole scene, so she immediately calls her grandpa for help. Mr. Choi quickly calls his old accomplice, Lee Do-young, for help. Back in the underground alley, the fight starts between the boys and the goons. When Gun-woo removes his face mask, Junmin becomes scared of him and quickly informs Kim Myung-gil about Gunwoo's presence there. Woo Jin and Gunwoo fight very well. Soon, Hyun-ju also joins them, and the three of them come heavy on the whole gang of goons. Meanwhile, Kim Myung-gil has also sent someone to kidnap the mother of Gunwoo, but Mr. Choi is one step ahead of him. He has deployed his right hand, Hwang Yang-young, to protect the mother of Gunwoo from the kidnappers. Hwang Yang-young is very good with the knives. He stabs each of the group of kidnappers one by one, but his attack is so precise that no one can bear it. Even Yang Jae-myung has to run off for his life while throwing the hostage on the road. Still, Hwang Yang-young follows him and cuts his ankle on both legs. On the other side, Lee Do-young has reached the underground alley to help the kids, but he sees that the kids have already gone from there after beating each and every member of the enemies. When Lee Do-young is returning, a gang member sees and tries to inspect him, but Do-young hits his head on the metal frame so hard that he becomes unconscious within no time. Later, the old friends Hwang Yang-young and Lee Do-young met after so many years. Gunwoo's mother is also safe and sound and is present at Mr. Choi's house. Mr. Choi again reprimands the kids for following the goons without his permission. He asks them, this time forcefully, to stay away from this matter. The following day, Kim Myung-gil comes to the hospital to meet the doctor and his injured man. He comes to know that the man who had beaten the kidnappers is very good with the knives. Kim Myung-gil suspects it to be Hwang Yang-young because he has already worked with Mr. Choi and knows his accomplices of him. On the other hand, Hwang Yang-young discussed with Lee Do-young that they should have ended the matter of Kim Myung-gil a long time ago, but they have been refraining from killing him because of Mr. Choi's orders. Kim Myung-gil tells Junmin that at the time of Mr. Choi, Hwang Yang-young and Lee Do-young were very famous assassin. They were very skilled in their work and would have known to be the left and right hands of Mr. Choi. Looks like Kim Myung-gil is scared of his enemy this time. On the other hand, Mr. Choi and his whole team are making a plan to take down Kim Myung-gil and his goons. Kim Myung-gil has the assistance of Jang Do, who is a retired police officer and knows the police system very well. That's why he is very good at covering the crimes of Kim Myung-gil. Hwang Yang-young is going to take down Jang Do, while Lee Do-young is tasked to handle Junmin. They also have to move the cash from the bookstore, and for this work, Mr. Oh suggests asking the kids. Do-young also supports this idea because he has seen their potential earlier in the underground alley. So when Gunwoo and Woo Jin are enjoying the meal prepared by the mother, Gunwoo, Hyun-ju, comes and sits with them to eat. There, she receives the message to shift all the cash from the store. So our trio brought some empty boxes and 2 cars to transport the cash. When Hyun-ju is stacking the cash into the boxes, Gunwoo and Woo Jin go into the basement to bring some trolleys. Right then, the enemies attack them, and Beam goes after the boys in the basement while Jang Do hits Hyun-ju from behind, making her unconscious. He then puts handcuffs around her hands. On the other hand, Gunwoo and Woo Jin beat Beam very hard. Gunwoo is already angry with him, and he beats him so hard that Woo Jin has to come and stop him. Beam becomes unconscious, and the boys bind his hands and feet there. Meanwhile, Hyun-ju comes back into consciousness when Jang Do is carrying her. She slips from the hands of Jang Do and then beats him with her hands cuffed. Then she removes her handcuffs and puts them into the hand of Jang Do to seize him there with a pipe. Hyun-ju goes to the boys and informs them about the situation. They all bring the trolleys to the bookstore and start their work hastily. Meanwhile, Jang Do free himself and calls Kim Myung-gil, informing him about the whole situation. Kim Myung-gil is infuriated by him for not being able to handle the kids. He asks him to call for more men and handle the matter before even going to the hospital for medical assistance. In the meantime, the kids have filled all the boxes with the money and transported them to the car. They have also taken the gold stacks and the dollars from the safe. Now they start driving, and enemies have come there too, so they are being chased on the roads. Hyun-ju gets rid of one of the cars by hitting it with her own car. She then allows Gunwoo's SUV to come ahead because the real stash of money is present in that car. While fighting with the goons' vehicle, Hyun-ju's car dies, and they have to run while carrying the bags of gold and remaining cash. But the bags are slowing their pace of running, and the goons are very near to them, so they throw the bags on the road and run to save their lives. They get into the car of Gunwoo, who has made space for them by removing some of the cash bags, and then he carries his friends away. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi is informed that the kids were attacked by the goons and they have also failed to recover some of the money. But Mr. Choi is more concerned about the safety of the kids instead of his money. When Hyun-ju comes to meet him, He only asks if she is hurt. Luckily Hyun-ju and the boys are all okay. Back in the bookstore basement, In-beom succeeds in freeing himself. Then Kim Myeong-gil's men take him to the hospital and Lee Do-young is keeping an eye on him on the order of Mr. Choi. Kim Myeong-gil knows the intentions of Mr. Choi for leaving In-beom alive. He asks his men to stay vigilant of any of the activity of their enemies. The following day, Mr. Choi tells Gun-woo that he has done a huge favor by recovering so much money from the bookstore. That's why he is going to free Gun-woo from the payment of his debt. He is grateful for Gun-woo for bringing smile to the face of Hyun-ju, and he also wants him to stay with Hyun-ju in the future too. Then, Hwang Yang-young makes a delicious pork bite for the kids with his magical hands. Lee Do-young also comes there and tells the kids that Hwang Yang-young is also a senior Marine. Woo Jin salutes his senior Marine, and then they discuss the next plan to take down the whole group of Kim Myeong-gil. The boys are going with Hwang Yang-young to kill Jang-do, so he is training the boys how to use the knife along with their boxing skills. And Hyun-ju is going with Lee Do-young and he is training her how to knock down a person while riding the bike. In the night, Lee Do-young and Hyun-ju wait for Jun-min to come to the parking area. When he comes, Do-young flashes his bike light on the face of Jun-min, and then cuts his throat with a knife while riding the bike. Suddenly, a car comes and hits Do-young as if they know that Do-young will come to kill Jun-min. They start beating Do-young, and then Hyun-ju comes for help. She beats the goons, and frees Do-young from their grip. On the other hand, Hwang Yang-young has gone with the boys to kidnap Jang-do. When Jang-do is taking the lift to the hospital to bring something to eat for his men there, Hwang Yang-young and the boys take the stairs and reach there before the lift's door opens. They attack Jang-do and take him with them. One of the gang members has seen them, so our boys also handle him. Back at the house, Mr. Choi gets the message that Jang-do has been captured. Mr. Choi starts traveling toward the location where his men are keeping Jang-do. He calls Hwang Yang-young and asks him to get Jang-do ready for the questions. He also mentions to let the kids watch the torture on Jang-do. They prepare some salty water and then burn the skin of Jang-do on the thigh area. Hwang Yang-young takes some salt water and pours it on the burnt area of Jang-do. Then, they do the same with the other thigh. Hyun-ju could not bear the scene, so she goes out and vomits. Right then, Mr. Choi comes there and tells Hyun-ju that there are still many things to be learned for Hyun-ju. When Mr. Choi sits in front of Jang-do, he already knows his weaknesses and how to get his mouth open. Mr. Choi knows that Jang-do was planning to leave Kim Myeong-gil at the right time, and for that, he was accumulating some wealth. So Mr. Choi offers him a handsome amount of money, and a house at a place that Kim Myeong-gil would never be able to reach. In return, he wants to know about all the secrets of Kim Myeong-gil. Jang-do agrees and Do-young brings out his cell phone to record everything. Do-young says that Kim Myeong-gil is a loan shark who has been conning people who took loans from Mr. Choi. Kim Myeong-gil used to go to those people and ask them to give an extension fee, otherwise, their collaterals would be taken away. Though Mr. Choi gives the loan at 0 interest rate, Kim Myeong-gil takes the benefit from the opportunity and makes money. He also has many naked videos of influential people and businesspersons in the city, which he uses to blackmail them. For example, he is blackmailing Lil Group's chairman Hong for forcing him to invest in the casino and the nightclub that Kim Myeong-gil is going to open soon. Kim Myeong-gil's gold is placed at an unknown location where only he brings In-beom with him. He thinks In-beom more than his brother, so all his secrets are with In-beom. Meanwhile, Chairman Hong meets Kim Myeong-gil again and Hong's cousin is on the phone call listening to their conversation. But Kim Myeong-gil gets to know about the call, and he beats Hong for doing this. Then, he forces Chairman Hong to find 2 bikers who killed Jun-min earlier through his cousin's influences at the police department. He gives them 5 hours of time, and if they are late, he is going to upload a video of Chairman Hong on social media. Meanwhile, our boys are going with their seniors in a car when they receive an invitation from Mr. Choi for drinks at his house. His mood seems to be very good, and that's why he is giving this treat. It's because Mr. Choi and Hyun-ju are again close to each other. They make a plan to go to Rome once everything ends for good. Later, at the house of Mr. Choi, they enjoy the drinks, and Woo Jin cracks some jokes. They enjoy quality time there, and then Hwang Yang-young and Lee Do-young sit together after the party discussing their previous lives. Right then, Do-young receives a call from his wife. He is going to be a father soon, and he has been hiding all this from Hwang Yang-young and Mr. Choi. Now, Hwang Yang-young asks him to go home and spend time with his family. He even gives him some money and books a cab for him. After that, we see Chairman Hong's cousin has found the location of those bikers where they stop by after the parking area is seen. Kim Myung-gil gets his all men ready and leaves for that location, though the location is empty, but he finds the address of Lee Do-young there. By seeing the footsteps on the ground in salt water, they speculate that Jang Do was tortured there and he has opened his mouth against Kim Myung-gil already. So now they go to the address of Lee Do-young and knock at the door. When the wife of Do-young comes to open the door, Do-young stops her from this. He looks through the door hole outside and also through the window. He suspects something is wrong, so he makes his wife sit in a room and lock the door. Then he puts the fridge and the chair in front of the door so that the goons would face some resistance while entering there. The men break the windows and come inside. Do-young fights very well till the last breath of his life. Mr. Choi, in the end, asks him to give the location of Hwang Yan-young to save his wife. Then, we see Mr. Choi enjoying the breakfast meal along with the boys and Hyun-ju. The breakfast is prepared by Gun-woo's mother and it's very delicious. So Mr. Choi wants Gun-woo's mother to make food at his orphanage for the children. So after some time, Gun-woo and Hyun-ju go to drop the mother at the orphanage house, leaving Woo-jin and Mr. Choi alone at home. Meanwhile, Kim Myung-gil has reached the shop of Hwang Yan-young, who speculates that Kim Myung-gil has killed Do-young and his wife to reach this location. Myung-gil also confirms this, and they start fighting. Though Hwang Yan-young is good with knives, Myung-gil is wearing shoes with blades at the front. He injures the legs of Hwang Yan-young at the start and then stabs him with his own knife. After killing Hwang Yan-young, he goes with his men to the house of Mr. Choi. Woo-jin has felt the disturbance in the house, so he informs Mr. Choi about potential danger. Mr. Choi quickly goes into the basement and starts loading his gun with the bullets. In the meantime, Woo-jin alone is fighting with the goons of Kim Myung-gil. Mr. Choi also takes down several of them with his gun. Unfortunately, Woo-jin is stabbed badly in his abdomen, so he is lying injured on the first floor. Also, when Mr. Choi is reloading the gun, In-beom attacks him and throws him to the ground with full force. Kim Myung-gil comes there and says that he has learned a lot from Mr. Choi, that's why he will give a painless death to him. Saying this, he cuts the throat of Mr. Choi with his knife. Then, he takes all the cash and gold from the safe and sets the house on fire. After they have left, Gun-woo and Hyun-ju comes back there. They see that Woo-jin is in very bad condition, so Gun-woo takes him out to carry him to the hospital, but Mr. Choi is already dead. So Gun-woo saves only Hyun-ju from there because the fire is converting the whole house into the ashes. At the hospital, Woo-jin's condition is pretty bad because of a huge blood loss. Gun-woo gives his blood to save the life of Woo-jin. Hyun-ju is also in shock due to the death of her grandpa, and she leaves the hospital without saying anything. After some time, doctors inform them that Woo-jin's operation was successful and he was out of danger now. After some days, we see Woo-jin and Gun-woo wake up at an apartment in a very remote area. They start jogging around the coast and reach a gym where they start exercising and lifting weights. It looks like they are preparing for their next boxing championship. Mr. Oh is also there. They have been living with Mr. Oh for all this time. Now, when they have fully recovered from their injuries, they ask him to let them go and take revenge on Kim Myung-gil. Mr. Oh is not ready to allow them to go, and they are just kids. The boys try to convince him by saying that they have a plan this time. They will go to the victims of Kim Myung-gil's evil business and ask them to join hands for revenge on Kim Myung-gil. But still, Mr. Oh is persistent in his stance and does not let them go. The following day, Mr. Oh goes to visit the memorial of Mr. Choi and sees a letter there. It's from Hyun-ju, who has mentioned that she is going to Rome because she is unable to forget Grandpa by living near this area. Mr. Oh comes back home with a change of mind. He calls for the boys and gives them a bag full of money. He has also arranged an apartment for their living in the city and a car for travel. He asks them to go and take revenge on Mr. Choi. The boys travel through the bus and reach the apartment arranged by Mr. Oh. There they meet Min, who is the granddaughter of Mr. Oh and will be living next to them. Then, our boys sit down to make a plan. At first, they go to see other moneylenders who were conned by Kim Myung-gil, but they face rejection there because no one wants to be involved with Kim Myung-gil. They can make more money which have been stolen from them, but Kim Myung-gil would kill them if they stand against them, so everyone fears him. After that, they go to meet Mr. Moon, who is in a pretty bad condition. He was also scammed by the loan sharks, and when he tried to stand against them, he was beaten badly. Then the boys go and kidnap Yang Jae-myung. They force him to speak all the details about the illegal business of Kim Myung-gil. To their surprise, Yang Jae-myung cooperates well with them. He mentions the illicit videos of businessmen that Kim Myung-gil keeps on his phone. He also tells them about the recent victim of the illicit video, Chairman Hong. So, back at the apartment, they search for Chairman Hong on the computer of Demin. They send Chairman Hong a friend request on the social media app, and suddenly, Demin comes there and stops them from using her computer. Meanwhile, Chairman Hong meets Kim Myung-gil because he still has not given the investment for the casino and the nightclub. Chairman Hong says that his father is not willing to give this money to Kim Myung-gil, and that's why it is taking so long. Kim Myung-gil doesn't want to hear the excuses, so he signals in Beam, who threatens Chairman Hong to throw him off the high-rising building. Chairman Hong then agrees to convince his father this time. Back in his car, Hong starts crying about his bad luck. He has been traumatized for so many days. Suddenly, he receives messages on his phone mentioning to meet the senders if he wants to get rid of Kim Myung-gil. Chairman Hong discusses the matter with his cousin and arranges the meeting again at the drinking. They ask Gun-woo and Woo-jin to drink with them so that they can discuss everything openly. But Woo-jin was stabbed by Kim Myung-gil's men, and his liver was damaged. That's why he can't drink. And Gun-woo doesn't drink from the start. Hearing this, Chairman Hong says that they will not be able to talk then. So Gun-woo decides to drink this time only. He pours glass after glass into his gut, surprising everyone there. Soon, Chairman Hong and his cousin Gang Yong get totally drunk and start spitting out their secrets. In the morning, they wake up in their own house and find Gun-woo and Woo-jin already there. They have brought them there in the night for more drinking, but they don't remember that now. The boys have prepared noodle soup for them to end the hangout effect. After that, Gang Yong brings the boys to his office, and there they meet two other police officers. They are going to work in a team to capture Kim Myung-gil this time. They have to first get the evidence against him, and for that, they have to get access to his mobile phone. Now there are two ways to get access to the phone of Myung-gil. One is to make him scan a tempered QR code by his phone, and the other is to connect his phone through a Wi-Fi router. They don't want to miss any chance, so they are going to try both. They install the cameras all over the building and call Kim Myung-gil for a final meeting where Chairman Hong is going to sign the contract. When Myung-gil comes there and scans the QR code to come inside the building, the police get connected to his phone. But to their surprise, there is no data in that phone which can be used as evidence. In the meeting room, Chairman Hong is still not confident and is traumatized by the thought of the deal with Kim Myung-gil. Through the camera, Gang Yong sees that Kim Myung-gil has another phone in his bag. Now they have to make that phone connect with their Wi-Fi router. Chairman Hong came out of the building to ask whether they were successful in getting the data or not. Gang Yong tells him that they have not succeeded yet. They have another plan in mind now, but for that, Chairman Hong has to be confident this time. Gang Yong motivates him and sends him again to the meeting room. Inside, Chairman Hong asks the lawyers to go outside as he wants to talk to Kim Myung-gil in private. He wants Myung-gil to delete his illicit video first before signing the contract. He also mentions that he will delete the video because he doesn't believe Kim Myung-gil. Chairman Hong has come with confidence this time and succeeds in getting the mobile from Kim Myung-gil. He quickly connects the phone to the Wi-Fi router, giving access to his team outside. Then on the order of Gong Yang, the police officer deletes all the data from the mobile. When Kim Myung-gil comes back home in a happy mode because they have signed a big contract that day, he smells something inside his room. He opens the safe and sees that his phone has burnt completely, and he understands that it was done by Chairman Hong and his accomplices. Kim Myung-gil then takes out the phone of Mr. Choi Tae-hyun as he has kept all the phones of his victims in a drawer. Then he asks someone on the phone call to recover the location of Mr. Oh from the phone he is sending to him. It is another police officer at the police headquarters who is working with Kim Myung-gil for the money. When his senior Gang Yong tells him about the videos from the phone of a big loan shark, he even coveys this information to Kim Myung-gil. The following day, Kim Myung-gil sends his men to search Mr. Oh at the location given by the mole police officer. On the other hand, Gun-woo and Woo-jin get the full information about In-beom from Yang Jae-myung by giving him a bribe. Back at the apartment, when they are searching into In-beom, they receive a call from an unknown number. Demin takes the call, and the caller informs them to come to a designated location to save Mr. Oh. As Mr. Oh is the grandfather of Demin, she also gets ready to go with the boys. She is an expert in using the compound bow and even shows it to the boys to make them convinced of her company. The boys also called Mr. Moon to come and help them in the matter because Mr. Moon had also been working with Mr. Oh. At the designated location, they don't find Mr. Oh but the goons of Kim Myung-gil, along with In-beom. They have been framed to come there because Kim Myung-gil wants them dead. But our boys are better than before as their fighting skills and stamina have improved now after the training. Also, they have help in the form of Demin and Mr. Moon. They take down all the goons one by one with ease. Mr. Moon fights with one of the main gangsters, the judge, who is trying to run from that place. Gunwoo takes down and Beam very easily this time. After that they torture Young to get the location of Mr. O. Then they ask Mr. Moon to make and Beam open his mouth while the boys and Demin are going to save Mr. O. On their route, they inform about the location of Mr. O to Bang Yong, who asks them to wait for the police. But the mole in the department conveys the information to Kim Myung-gil that the police are coming there. So, Kim Myung-gil orders his men to shift Mr. O from there before the police reach there. So, when the police come to the place, they find nothing there. In the meantime, Mr. Moon is torturing In Beam to open his mouth. But In Beam even cuts his own tongue. So, they have to leave him for medical assistance. The following day, when Gang Yong goes to get some coffee from the shop, the person there mixes some poison in it on the order of Kim Myung-gil. Gang Yong quickly senses that something is wrong, so he goes to a nearby shop and demands some salt. He uses the salt to vomit out the whole poison from his stomach. The other two police officers who helped Gang Yong in getting the evidence against Kim Myung-gil were also killed. Meanwhile, Gun-woo and Woo Jin receive a call from Kim Myung-gil to come to a location to save Mr. O, and he stops them from calling to police this time, otherwise, Mr. O would not survive. Demin is also there and is willing to go there without the police. After reaching the location, Gun-woo and Woo Jin enter the building, and Demin is asked to come later. As expected, the men of Kim Myung-gil start an attack on the boys, but they fight with all of them, and no one is able to kill the kids. So Myung-gil puts a knife at the throat of Mr. O and asks the boys to stop fighting, otherwise, he will kill the old man. Right then, Demin comes there and puts an arrow straight into the arm of Myung-gil, who somehow manages to run off from that place. The boys and Demin save Mr. O, and the police have also reached the location. They arrest all the goons and find substantial evidence to get a warrant for the raid at the house of Kim Myung-gil. There, they find the phones of all the dead or missing persons, which is another great evidence against Kim Myung-gil, and now his days out of prison have ended. Also, the mole police officer in the department is arrested, but still Chairman Hong is worried because Kim Myung-gil still has his video in the backup of his laptop. Gun-woo and Woo Jin are present there and promise to find Kim Myung-gil as soon as possible. They again meet Yang Jae-myung to know the location of the hideouts of Myung-gil, but he says that Jang Do can give them such type of information. The following day, they talk with Jang Do, but he demands a huge sum of money in exchange for helping them. The boys arrange the money from Chairman Hong and get the exit plan of Kim Myung-gil from Jang Do. Kim Myung-gil is going overseas on a cargo ship. Jang Do even tells the number of the container in which they are leaving. Now the boys have to board that ship, so they farewell Mr. O and Demin and then go towards the coast. Once on the ship, they find the men of Kim Myung-gil there and start knocking them down one by one. In the end, Gun-woo fights with Kim Myung-gil and overpowers him for some time. They also get all the gold of Kim Myung-gil in that container. Chairman Hong makes the necessary arrangements to arrest Kim Myung-gil, and he also gets his video finally. The gold is going to be used to build a hospital as charity work according to the wish of Mr. Choi. Chairman Hong takes responsibility for the hospital, and he even gives 2 gold bricks to Gun-woo and Woo Jin. Finally, Gun-woo goes with Woo Jin and meets with his mother, who was at the orphanage house at the time.